welcome back to this lecture. So we talked about central nervous system and peripheral nervous system in the previous lecture. Also had a brief idea about dendrites, synapses, nucleus, axons. So in this tutorial we'll be continuing some more details about central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. So what is it exactly? So our nervous system is having three main functions. There is sensory input, there is integration of data, and there is motor output. So sensory input is when the body gathers information, or we can say data, by the way of neurons, glia, and synapses that are inside the brain. The nervous system is composed of excitable nerve cells, which are known as neurons, as we discussed in the previous tutorials. If you guys have missed any of them, you can go back and come back here later and continue. So these neurons operate on excitable excitation or inhibition. So this nervous system is comprised of two main parts, which is known as central nervous system, which is the brain, and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is scattered all across the body. So we can say that it is comprised of two major parts or subdivisions, which is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So CNS includes our brain and spinal cord. The brain is the body's control center. So the central nervous system has various centers located within it that carry out the sensory, motor, and integration of data. Here is where it all happens. So these centers can be subdivided to lower centers, including the spinal cord and the brain stem, and higher centers, which is communicating with the brain via effectors. Our peripheral nervous system is a vast network of spinal and cranial nerves that are linked to brain and spinal cord. It contains sensory receptors which help in processing different things, changes internal or even external environment. This information is sent to the central nervous system via sensory nerves, all these wiring. So these signals are transmitted through these nerves. So then the PNS is then subdivided into autonomic nervous system, or another subdivision inside peripheral nervous system. That's autonomic and somatic nervous system. So autonomic nervous system has involuntary controls of internal organs, blood vessels, smooth and cardiac muscles. Somatic has voluntarily control of skin, bones, joints, skeletal muscle. So these two systems together, by the way of nerves from the peripheral nervous system, becomes a part of CNS. So how the higher structure is integrated with the lower structure, and they both are functioning as one. But if we go into detail, everyone is managing their own task, and then the system as a whole is functioning. It's functioning as a whole, as a human being in itself, integrated from super intelligence. So the cranial nerves that we were just discussing, it's having 12 cranial nerves. There are here 8, there is 12, 5, and 5 sacral nerves, which are located over here. Here is the chain of vertebrae, 33 vertebrae. To be exact, our central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So we just discussed it comprises the central nervous system, which is in the brain, which is on the top, comprises of the brain and the spinal cord. Then the brain, a little more detail, it coordinates the body activities, made of approximately 100 billion neurons. Still not able to come to an exact number, even modern scientists. Around 100 billion, we can say. It could be 200 billion as well, like 150 billion or 200 billion. Now coming to the different parts of the brain, the cerebellum, which is at the bottom. Then comes the language area. Then comes the visual cortex, the visual area. Then our intellect, taste area, speech, motor, cerebellum. So although these two sound similar, cerebellum and cerebrum, however they both are different. Then comes the brainstem, which is at the bottom. Talking about the cerebellum, is the largest part of the brain, responsible for thinking. And here is where the memory is stored, memory of this lifetime that we have experienced. Movements are controlled. We can control our movements. If you want to raise the hand in a class, you can just raise the hand. Like that's a movement. You're ordering your brain to perform a certain task, that is to lift up your right hand and ask a question. Impulses from the senses are then interpreted like we are just discussing. So this is the full model. Then we come to cerebellum. This interprets stimuli for the eyes. We can say it's nerve signals. It interprets from the eyes, from the cornea, iris and the lens came the vision towards the retina, and then it converted into nerve signals, then sent to the cerebellum doing the interpretation. From eyes, ears and muscles, and controls the voluntary movements, muscle movements, maintains muscle tone, and helps maintain balance. In life, it's really important to have a balanced diet, balanced lifestyle. So cerebellum, that's responsible for balance. So a famous quote which I just remembered. So someone said, life is like a bicycle. You have to move on to maintain balance. You have to grow, keep on growing, keep on learning new things, whether it's discovering the mind, something new, learning a new language. So coming to brainstem, this connects the brain to our spinal cord, as we were seeing the model. Looking at the brain and its functions in a little more detail. So the perception, making of sense of the world, arithmetic operations, spellings. This is known as parental lobe, like the parents of your mind, which is governing the mind. Perception, beliefs, ethics, values. So you have to be a good parent to be a good child. Just kidding. So vision comes occipital lobe. Then comes balance, we were just discussing, cerebellum. Then carrying messages, which is to the spinal cord. Memory, understanding and language, that's temporal lobe, which you must be currently using to interpret my language, my words. Executive functions, thinking, planning, organizing, problem solving, emotions, behavior, control, personality. Frontal lobe, you can say. the part that you scratch the most when you're thinking. That's executive functions. So coming to a little more details in the spinal cord, this is called the extension of the brain stem. It dismantles neurons that carry impulses from all parts of the body to the brain. That is the spinal cord. All of the messages are coming over here from the body to all parts of your body. So it's sending and receiving signals. Hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be discussing some more details about autonomic and somatic nervous system, which are subdivisions of peripheral nervous system, which we have just discussed. So very interesting tutorials ahead into understanding the functionings of our own mind. Do stay tuned, guys. Thank you guys, and happy learning.